So I'm going to record for our friends who couldn't make it. I was asked to take care of it because some of them are out of town. But we're going to talk about mindful eating and emotional eating. And so I really want you to interact with me, and you can either drop stuff in the chat or just unmute and talk about it. Because let me tell you, emotional eating is definitely a silent disorder that has physical manifestations. It's no joke. I mean, I think we all have some degree of emotional eating. And um, you know, if you've ever felt sad or depressed and reached for cake or ice cream or chips, because a lot of people go either salty or sweet to help you cope with something, that's emotional eating. Okay. So what emotions lead to you overeating? We have sadness, overwhelm, stress, anger, but it can also be joy, happiness, and boredom. So I want you to tell me what your emotional eating emotion is. Like what gets you to the point where you feel like you emotional eat. So you can either drop it in the chat or you can unmute and tell me.
Sarah, it's Gloria. For me, I'm not going to lie, it's been all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anxiety. Yep.
Yeah,
Joy,
anxiety, frustration. Like when I was angry or had a stressful day at work, I wanted friendlies or I wanted to twirl pasta. Like that was my frustration relief.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yep.
but so I can relate to all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, my main triggers are stress, overwhelm, and boredom. Boredom, hunger is like, it gets me all the time. So we're gonna talk about how to kind of solve these issues. But yeah, Caitlin, stress, all of the things. So we identified our emotions that lead to us overeating and just emotionally eating. But it's also important to think about how your body feels when you're in the midst of that emotion. Are you jittery? Do you have labored breathing? Are you in the fight or flight stage? Like, what else do you feel? And again, with boredom hunger, maybe it's just boredom. It can be a host of things, and everybody's is going to be different. It doesn't mean that, we're not all the same. And so for me, I feel like with my stress eating, it's like I just can't escape. Like the stress is so much and it's weighing so heavy on my shoulders that I can't escape. Or when it's boredom eating, it's me sitting at my desk at work going, okay, I don't have anything to do, but I'm hungry. I'm not hungry. It's just boredom. So tell me, if you can really think about it, tell me what you feel when you're in the midst of the emotion, really how you feel. For people who suffer from anxiety, are you jittery? Are you do you notice your breathing become more labored? Or you could just run away because that would be the flight stage?
Sarah, it's
yeah.
Diane.
Yeah.
I agree with the boredom thing because I think that happens a lot. And I wouldn't say at work so much, but like in the evenings at home. It's and I can sit here and I'll be reading a book, but then it's like I really need something.
Yeah. Yep. Caitlin, I totally know what you're saying. She said that she feels like she feels guilt because she knows that she shouldn't be eating the stuff, but food has always been her go-to. I was the same way. Food was my go-to. If you really think about it, and if you were at Summit, you heard me talk about this, in the fact that we always go towards food, right? We reward ourselves with food. We go to a celebration and think about it. I mean, even if you were at Summit, that's what we do when we're happy, we eat. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but it's being able to control the emotions that cause us to overeat. So have you ever noticed that when you give in to emotional eating, that you feel worse about yourself afterwards, and then you tend to binge again to compensate for the fact that you just did this. And so you did it once, now you've done it twice because you felt crappy about the first time. And it's just this vicious cycle that continues to go on. So really, like, pain, like, man, if we can get you out of that cycle where you binge eat and then feel bad about yourself and say, you're like, well, I've screwed this up, let me, it doesn't matter now. Well, it totally does matter, because you're giving into the emotion when you know that that's not really what you want. Obviously, if you're on this call or you're listening to this call, you are trying to better yourself through health and fitness. So, like, that's our goal. But our emotions in our heads can really just outweigh our desired goal. So you want to really be conscious of what you're doing. So how can we stop emotionally eating? So first we have to keep an eye out for certain things. Okay. How does your hunger begin? The urge to eat is totally normal, obviously, but with normal hunger, we don't need to satisfy it immediately. But emotional eating, that's different. It comes on quickly. You have the urgency to eat. And it's important to realize that this is actually emotional eating. If you're craving certain foods, it's usually sugary or fatty foods. Some people go salty. Some people, it's a combination of both, because it gives you an instant rush. Okay. Normal hunger, you could eat anything and be satisfied. But with emotional eating, it's not like that. So I call emotional eating a lot of times like the chip syndrome, because you know yourself that we're sitting there, and especially for those who are boredom eaters, you just begin eating and you don't realize, it's totally mindless. It's just a hand-mouth connection here. And you keep stuffing them in until they're gone or you're uncomfortably full. Do you feel satisfaction when you eat? When you emotionally eat, you are never satisfied until you start to feel sick. And then you feel bad about yourself, but you can't control your eating. And then we need to think about the location of our hunger, okay? So normal hunger is felt in the stomach and often signaled by a growling stomach. We all know that, right? Now, not every growl that your stomach makes is telling you that you're hungry. We all we all know that, sometimes it just does because all the gastric juices are moving around. But emotional eating is purely head. A lot of times you'll be focused on a specific taste, texture, or smell, and you might even start talking about the food that you're craving. And then we want to pay attention to how we feel afterwards. With normal hunger, we don't feel guilt, right? When was the last time you felt guilty about eating a salad? I'm never guilty, I never feel guilty about eating a salad or something that's on my plan. But when you emotionally eat, it's different. You feel guilt, ashamed, you're uncomfortable, you now feel unhealthy, and deep down, you know that what you just ate didn't do anything for your body. So we want to fix it. And we can fix it by starting to not be mean to ourselves, okay? Stop thinking that just because you did it, that's the end all be all, you failed, because you didn't fail, okay? We all have those days. You want to be aware of how you're feeling. Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling stressed? Are you just feeling boredom and need that hand-mouth connection? You want to control your emotions, and you get to control those emotions, not anybody else. And believe me, food does not control those emotions. That's all up here. You want to be positive and say, okay, I know that eating this entire bag of chips is not going to get me closer to my goal, but maybe I can have a few and that will satisfy my need for them. We want to kick out the negativity. So we're not going to beat ourselves up over it if it happens. We're going to forgive, forget, and move the heck on. And again, you've heard me say this before, we are not going to use food as a reward. And I'm obviously very huge about that. So, but how do we do these things, right? So you want to keep a food log, and that might be, keeping it on the BOD app. Maybe you're a pencil and paper person. Maybe you can use another app. Like, just keep track of what you eat, good, bad, indifferent. If you overate on something and went over your plan, write it down. Like, let's keep a log and see. You can even keep a log of how you were feeling when you ate that. What emotions presented prior to and during you eating. We want to control our stress, and we can do that through yoga, meditation, deep breathing. Try stepping away from the external stressor that would normally have you reaching for candy or chips, and take 5 minutes to deep breathe and clear your mind. There's nothing wrong with that. And I know a lot of people will say, well, I just can't walk away from my job for 5 minutes. Okay, girl, but you can do laps standing right there, or you can walk down to the bathroom. There are ways. Sit in your chair at work and you just take 3 deep breaths and refocus yourself. Take a hunger pause. Now, a hunger pause has really started to help me. And it's just taking a moment to figure out if it's that you're really hungry or if it's just an emotion, a response to an emotion. So I will sit at my desk, and this is our slow time of year, so I'm not very busy. And I'll get that feeling. And I am conscious now, thinking that, okay, am I hungry, or is this just boredom? Right? So I get up from my desk and I go down to the bathroom, even if I don't have to go, just walk down to the bathroom, walk out into the front office, just like walk around my desk, or even just drinking water can be super helpful to figure out if you're truly hungry or not. The next way is through exercise, and you're obviously in the perfect spot for this one, right? So exercises can be something as simple as taking a walk, which is going to cause you to use energy, which causes cortisol to be produced in the brain, and your craving's going to go away. Plus, you're going to burn some extra calories. So that's a win-win, right? And we want to beat boredom. We can do something else, read, watch a movie, clean, go for a walk, or do a workout. And I've been known to be at my desk and be on the floor. I did this the other day because I missed my mobility workout, and I was stretching on the floor of my job. Now, mind you, I'm not in a hospital or anything, so I don't have to worry about germs and stuff like that. And I'm in an office by myself, but just taking that few minutes to really stretch out and pay attention to my body was super helpful. We want to fight temptation. So don't buy what you know is a food that you have an emotional attachment to. For me, that's peanut butter. Peanut butter is my go-to food, my stress food, my trigger. I could sit there and probably eat an entire jar and make myself sick. So what do? Yes, I have it in the house, but I have conditioned myself to not reach for the peanut butter when I am stressed. And in fact, it's been 3 weeks, I think, since I've had peanut butter. And you might be like, oh, I can never go without peanut butter. Well, that's my trigger food. So maybe for Farron, it's chips. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, then just don't buy the dang chips if you know, or buy a brand or a kind that you don't like, but the kids do if you're buying them. But you also can't deprive yourself. So you need to allow an occasional treat, but just don't have it every day. If you quit everything you love, you are more likely to fail, right? If you restrict yourself so hard, what's going to happen is when you're done restricting and you have one taste of that trigger food, you're going to fall off the rocker. So maybe for you, it's incorporating that into your plan. And we want to snack right. Choose fruits and veggies. Look for healthier options to the textures that you love. So if you're a chip person, maybe it's going with crispy roasted chickpeas. It's kind of like chips. Maybe it's finding a healthier alternative to a chip texture. Maybe it's making your own kale chips. And I'm not saying that you always have to do that. What I'm saying is when you know that these emotions get a hold of you quite often, having a healthier option is going to be better, but you still need to keep a food log, control your stress, take a hunger pause, exercise, be bored, like all the things, right? It's not just, oh, I'm stressed. Sarah said I could have a healthier option and you reach for whatever it is. No, because you're not solving anything. You're still giving in to it. And you want to learn from your mistakes. If you have an emotional eating episode, just move on. Okay, this has been a huge thing. Don't dwell on it, forgive yourself, and keep right on. So I want to know how you're going to cope the next time you're in your feelings so that you don't emotionally eat. Right? Caitlin, lettuce isn't going to fix your stress. I hear you, girl, but we need to fix your stress so that lettuce is an integral part of your diet or something. Oh, Diane loves cheese. Me too. Me too, girl. That's why I incorporate cheese into my eating style nearly every day. Ice cream. Wanda, ice cream is a super easy fix. Instead of buying the sugar laden, like unnatural, like crud that we tend to see, try making your own. And I'm serious when I say this. I make a peach frozen yogurt with frozen peaches, half a cup of Greek yogurt, a little bit of honey and some stevia. Boom. Put it in the food processor. It's so amazing. And it satisfies that need or want for ice cream. I also like to do all natural sorbets. And we have a local farm here called the Frozen Farmer that sells their sorbets. And I know a lot of you don't necessarily calorie or macro count, but it's 70 calories for the whole thing. And it's made from misfit fruit. So I feel good about putting that in my body. So Cheryl says brownies. Well, this is an easy one. I have a recipe for chickpea brownies. There's black bean brownies. And I am telling you, when I make my chickpea muffins and chickpea brownies, you can't tell the daggone difference. Maybe it's even going with something like, I love the Kodiak Cake brand, and they have a brownie mix. It's got protein in it, right? Your normal brownie mix that you buy on the shelf does not have protein in it. So if you can get protein inside of a brownie, do it. Heather's is cookies and popcorn. Popcorn is not bad for you, first off. Okay, let's think about this. What's bad for you is all the butter and salt and crap that you add to it. So try doing, if you really love that buttery taste, try doing a little bit of ghee on it, which is just clarified butter. It has the milk solids removed from it. You can add your own spices and seasonings to it. So you always want to make sure that you're choosing, a plain popcorn so that you can control what goes on it. And cookies, there's a ton of recipes out there for cookies that are healthier. Maybe instead it's Shakeology ball. Maybe that's going to give you the texture and you're still going to get all that goodness from it. Alyssa, pizza is hard. Okay. Farron can tell you she loves pizza too. Right. And we are soul sisters because nearly every time there's pizza in front of us, we eat the whole dang thing. Like we love it. And sometimes you're just like, oh my God, I love it so much. I can't stop. So just like Farron mentioned in the comments, cauliflower crust. I love a cauliflower crust and I prefer to make my own because it just tastes better to me. I don't like buying cauliflower crust out. Although if you're looking for a good, like pre-made store-bought cauliflower crust, Cauli Power makes a really great one that if you're following Portion Fix has really good container counts. you're moving and the stress has ignited. Yeah. Hunger pauses are definitely going to help you. Like, I encourage you to try it, because what's the worst that can happen? You figure out that you're really hungry, or you figure out that it's just stress or boredom. Well, if you know what to do instead of eating. Yeah. No, Cheryl, I don't mind sharing at all. I'm telling you, I'm an open book. If there's something that I talk about that you're like, I'd like to have that recipe, you tell me, I'm gonna send it. Like, that's how I work. Right? I legit, so I grew up in a family where food was everything. And it's no wonder that I was overweight. Because my dad was over 400 pounds and he had gastric bypass surgery and he lost an entire person, 165 pounds, but he still buys food like he's a 400-pound man. And he can't get out of that mindset. Now, mind you, he doesn't buy all the crap now. A lot of times it's like fresh stuff, but still in the same. Cauliflower is asking for a friend. I love you so much, Farron. I have to look at the nutritionals again because Ashley Perrin, she's actually the one that turned me on to it. So I'll look it up and see. Let's see. And that's actually probably one of the best pre-made cauliflower crust I've ever had. So let's see. Come on, where's the nutritionals? So it's for a third of the pizza. And there it comes 2 in a pack. So the big part to this when you're looking at pre-made stuff is checking the ingredients list, because we all know, I think we all know, I hope we all know, that whatever ingredient is first is what is the product is comprised of the most. So for this one, cauliflower is the first ingredient. That means that this crust has cauliflower most. And you'll notice as you like read down the list when you see this, that yes, it has sugar in it, okay? But sugar is at the very bottom of the food list, of the ingredient list. And let's see here. So we are looking at, I need to write it down so that I can go back. You guys should see my desk. It's an absolute mess because I get these ideas in my head and then I just write them down in sticky notes everywhere. So let's see here. So this particular cauliflower crust is, let me get back to what it looks like. It's all about that base is what it's called by Cauliflower, but it's a green, a half a blue, and a yellow for a third of the pizza. Caitlin, you can get it at Walmart locally. Oh, a Dash mini ice cream maker. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. I can literally tell you that, I mean, I have my frozen yogurt recipe memorized. So it's 4 cups of frozen fruit. I used peaches, a half a cup of non-fat plain Greek yogurt, a tablespoon of honey, and 2 packets of stevia. and you just put it in the food processor and let it go. And holy Moses, it is so good. Heather, the cauliflower crust is in the frozen section. Yeah, Farron, you feel like you're lacking sugar. So this is where incorporating fresh fruits into your diet is really helpful. Plus also, I'm going to stop the share, but when you, a lot of times they say that that means that you're lacking magnesium when you're craving sugar. So you could be lacking magnesium in your diet. So it would be if you take a magnesium supplement.
I said that we should create like an I'm anxious right now snack list.
Yeah.
Like, because I was telling Sarah that around, Sarah, you could probably speak to this, but like later in the day around like 2 and 3, I start to get like a little bit of anxiety and I want to eat. Like that's how I cope with anxiety. And so, but I feel like, okay, if I eat in my mind, I'm like, if I eat sugar, like I will look at those fruit snacks and I have gummy vitamins that I eat a hell of a lot too many of them because I'm like, I'll just have more because I just need sugar. Like, so maybe it is magnesium. So maybe we find like foods, because you were saying that our hormone levels go down.
Right. Our estrogen levels as women drop in the afternoon, which is why we tend to crave sugary things in the afternoon. It's interesting. I'm telling you, there is a whole host of things that I have not even begun to learn yet, just because I'm super curious. And so, and Farron and I have talked about this, that I'm like researching the connection between gut health and a lot of our other issues. And I can tell you 100% Shakeology is great for gut health because of all the probiotics, all of the superfoods that are in it. It is a quality product. And I know, look, we all know that it's expensive. Okay. And I'll tell you, just like I tell my clients, is you will pay for quality ingredients. And if you're putting it in your body, you better know where in the heck it came from. Yes, your hormones hate you, Alyssa. Yeah. I mean, it happens. And so there's a whole, like, the big thing here when we struggle with our hormones too, is you need to repair your gut. You need to be eating foods that are whole, that are not processed, that are actually going to do your body good, versus allowing yourself to like eat McDonald's. I mean, I know sometimes like McDonald's we look at it as like, it doesn't have to be McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. Okay. I love Chick-fil-A. We use it as like, okay, well, this will be my Friday afternoon lunch because I've done so great all week. No, stop the reward. Okay. You got goals to go after. Like let's stop the reward. Stop looking at food as a reward. We eat to nourish our body. I think I threw myself off because now I can't remember where I was going. That happens a lot of things going on up in this brain. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to share the recipe. I'll post it in the event so that you guys can see it. Yeah, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm very upfront, very blunt, very honest. I think everybody at Summit was surprised with me when I said rewarding yourself with food, or your children, because this is true, will cause you to fail every single time. Stop the reward and really focus on what's going to get you to your goals, and don't use food as a reward. Okay, if you want that Chick-fil-A grilled chicken sandwich because it tastes so good, then have the freaking sandwich. It's not a reward. It's not. It's you putting good things into your body, because they're surprisingly, Chick-fil-A has really great nutritionals on a lot of their menu items. Now, McDonald's, I can't say the same for. But here's what happens. A lot of people have you ever been to McDonald's and been like, I want those French fries with the ice cream so that I can dip it? Like, a lot of people love to do that. I'm not one of them because that's just weird to me. You guys are weird if you like that. But it is because, and I put an email out about this last night, but it's because manufacturers and processors of food, they put additives into our food that cause you to get addicted to them. No lie. Why do you think you love the sugar? Because it is almost like you're a drug addict, because your body starts to crave it and you need it. And when you don't have it, you go through a withdrawal. It happens with caffeine all the time. People go through caffeine withdrawals and they're addicted to caffeine. I can tell you I'm addicted to caffeine, but if that's wrong, I don't want to be right. Let's see. Yeah, Jess, you've started setting alarms for times to eat. Yes, you can definitely be hungrier at times. And so what you're doing is, instead of having your blood sugar spike up and down throughout the day, you're trying to keep it more even keel, which is really helpful with time nutrition. Oh, how do your kids do that? Yes, it is as addictive as heroin. It is just like a dopamine hit. Gloria, I'll have to look at that book. I'm currently reading The Hormone Imbalance by Dr. Aviva Ram. And it talks about how we need to repair our gut in order to balance our hormones. So I'm going to write that book down. Yep. But I'm telling you, when you figure out that these foods that you once craved, when you can knock them to the curb, like get rid of them, you're gonna be like, my tastes have changed. I can go, and if you're local to me, and I know that you guys have places like this where you live, but we have a local creamery, right? I like ice cream, but you go and you taste it and it's so sickening sweet. That's because you have now trained your body to not need that sweetness, not need that sugar. And what do? They put the sugar in it because it makes it taste better, and it causes you to crave the sugar more, so that you're going to come back and buy more. It's crazy. Okay, it is honestly crazy how it all works. Yeah, Wanda. See, that's hard, right? It's so close to home. And they hook you in. So I'm reading, like I said, I'm reading The Hormone Imbalance by Dr. Aviva Ram. I'll type it in the chat. And I would encourage you to listen to podcasts about stuff like this. I mean, not only do we love the Inspire Her podcast, but there are so many great podcasts out there that will talk about this kind of stuff. Now, I will say that you need to listen to more than one source, because my opinions are going to vary from opinions of another trainer, another coach, another whatever. Yes, Down to Earth. That's the one with Zac Efron, right? And I can never remember that guy's name. Who's the guy? Daryl Oline. Darren Oline. Yeah, the creator of Shakeology, co-creator, whatever. It will show you a lot, right? Like, all about going back to natural. And I'm not saying you can never have these things, right? Use natural sweeteners. I know for a long time people thought that Splenda was the end all be all. Great. It's not sugar. We're going to use it. Okay, but let me tell you about that. Splenda is processed. There is no Splenda plant growing out yonder. Not happening. Obviously, we know that sugar comes from the cane, but here's one. Stevia. Stevia is actually a plant, and it is about 10 times sweeter than sugar, so you don't need as much of it. Now, it has no nutritional value, except a packet of stevia, like that you buy, the individual packets, has 2 carbs in it. Yes. Truvia. I'm not 100% sure in what Truvia is made of, because I have personally never used it. But let me, one of my very best friends is Google. So, it's made of stevia with erythritol and natural flavors. So it's like a combination. That might be good because they have a brown sugar So if you were ever baking something, yes, Farron, GTS. If you were ever baking something and needed brown sugar, I tend to substitute coconut sugar because it comes from coconut, right? And it's just processed to get it to like the sugar form, like that consistency. But well, coconut sugar, Alyssa, it actually helps keep your blood sugar from spiking. You take a tablespoon of white sugar and your blood sugar is going to freaking go up. Coconut sugar, it'll go up, but it's not going to go up nearly as much. Same with all of the natural sweeteners. It may go up, but it's going to keep it pretty even keel. You're not going to have that lasting glucose high from it. You know, I never, okay, so I can sit here and honestly tell you, I never 2 years ago would have thought that I would be like, oh my gosh, I need to use things that are plant-based. Oh my gosh, I need to heal my gut. There was nothing wrong with me, except the fact that I was overweight and I liked ice cream and cookies and cake and peanut butter. It's really eye-opening when you start to research things and find out. I didn't really think about, you know, fast food joints and all these manufacturers actually putting ingredients in these foods that cause you to have that addiction, basically, is what it goes after. But it becomes a dependence. I didn't think about that. I was just like, these French fries taste good. You know, I didn't know. Fast Food Nation. I'll have to look that up. You're right. I'm just going back through the messages so that I can like make sure. Yeah. So tell me, what questions do you have that I can answer for you? Don't be afraid to unmute either, because, you know, I like it when people talk to me. Friendly old person. Monk fruit sweeteners. I think monk fruit tends to have carb in it, but monk fruit is, there's actually a monk fruit tree, plant, whatever they want to call it. I would go for the raw versus something else like monk fruit in the raw. I tend to do that with stevia. Also, stevia in the raw. My mom actually grows stevia, so I will be processing my own. And here's something cool that you probably don't know. You know how stevia is white? The plant is green. How does it get white? I didn't like they like process it super fine so that it turns white because the particles are so small. See? I bet you didn't even know that. Because I surely was like, what the heck is this green stuff, Mom? It was like, that's stevia. So late night tips: go to bed, drink water, and really think about what is causing you to have that craving. Am I saying never give in to it? I'm saying that you are probably not hungry. And if you are, you need to be choosing a protein. Plain tea, yep. Here's the thing about protein is that protein helps to fill us up so that we're not hungry, which is really nice. And you don't need a whole lot of it in order to get that feeling. Who else has a question? Wanda, you got any questions?
Yes. So do you do any kind of tea, like hot? I'm not a cold tea drinker. I drink water, but what about hot tea? Do you drink hot tea?
I don't.
I don't know. So long as it's like black, or I mean, I don't usually drink like a regular caffeine because I'm not really a big caffeine person, but does any of them fine for you?
You're gonna probably like, so I would personally look for one that is just tea leaf and maybe some dried fruit, like, because sometimes they put like peach in them, like it's just
Oh, yeah.
like we don't want any extras added
Yeah.
to it. So
Okay.
tea, fruit, like that's, and other like herbs and stuff. That's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you control, like if you wanted to put a little stevia in it, a little honey in it, whatever you like, that's up to you, but you're controlling it and not the manufacturer.
Yeah. I mean, I typically just like it plain, but sometimes not right now as much because it's too hot, but the summertime or wintertime, I like a little hot tea sometimes over hot chocolate. Of course, I love hot chocolate, but that's not.
So, okay. So here's my tip for hot chocolate though.
Okay.
And cocoa powder, right?
Mhm.
Almond milk or whatever milk you use, stevia or
Okay.
honey or another sweetener.
Okay.
We have a girl in our challenge group who her family is maple tree farmers. Like it's insane. And she was like, got to go process the syrup today. Like, I'm like, man, I wish I lived closer to you because you would be my go-to. But yeah, so it's really easy. Sometimes you have to play with it. Now, I will say that the taste that of hot chocolate, what is the completely 100% processed sugar-laden crap. So that's why we find when we stop eating and partaking in those things is that our taste change and we're like, whoa, mine doesn't taste like that. Well, that's right, because yours isn't full of unhealthy crap. Yeah, yogi tea. I do keep I love Earl Grey and I don't drink it very often, but I'm like sometimes I just want it like in the afternoon at work in the winter. And so that's my go-to. I have a thing of it.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else have any questions? My kids are downstairs going insane. If you can hear them, I apologize. I'm not sure whose idea it was to have kids some days. It's Tommy's fault. It's always Tommy's fault. No other questions? You guys are more than welcome to message me anytime and ask me. I will share the brownie recipe as well as the my peach frozen yogurt. You can substitute any fruit in there. And you could even, I was thinking about this, like how could I do a chocolate frozen yogurt? And so I would probably do a little bit more yogurt with like frozen banana and add cocoa powder to it so that you're still getting that consistency.
Sarah, do you have the chickpeas? Like, how do you
I have a
buy
recipe
them?
for that too, girl.
Do you have a recipe for those?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I have a whole collection of, but I just take chickpeas and you rinse them, like a can of chickpeas, you rinse
Oh, okay.
you dry them off, and then you put them on a baking sheet with a tablespoon of olive oil, and you put them in the oven for like 20-ish minutes. And then when they come out, you sprinkle the seasonings on them, and then you put them back in the oven for, I think it was another 10 minutes. But the important part when you're making crispy chickpeas is once the timer is done and you have cooked them through, you want to leave them in the oven.
Okay.
Because that's where they get the crispness from.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of seasoning do you like with?
Oh, I like to use chili powder, cumin, garlic powder.
You just do pepper, and like what salt do you use? Do you use sea salt or what?
I do. I use a pink Himalayan sea salt.
Oh, pink. Okay. Perfect.
I have to make notes or else I lose complete track of what I'm supposed to do. So I hope that this was so helpful for you and that you really start to implement some of my tips. Really honestly, taking a hunger pause has helped me tremendously. Really just focus on whether I am truly hungry or whether it's just my boredom. Don't buy the trigger foods. And if they're in the house because your kids have them, or that's your child's favorite treat, stay away from them. Don't even have one bite, because we all know that you have one bite of something and you're hooked. No problem, Diane. Thank you for getting on. I appreciate you guys. Aw, you guys are the sweetest. I should just come here for compliments when I'm feeling down. You guys, I hope that you have a great rest of your Saturday, and always, always feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or heck, even if you find a book or an article that you really find amazing, send it to me because I'll read it. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I love. So with that said, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your weekend. If you haven't gotten your workout in yet, go do it, right? Because we're always better after we've sweated. Stinky or
Sure did.
Yeah.
I did. I was late because of it.
I worked out right before I got on the call.
Yeah.
So if you need anything, let me know. And I'm going to try to do, Farron and I have been talking about trying to do calls more frequently of things that are going to really help. So I will let you guys know when the next one is. So have a good weekend, and I will see you guys later. Bye.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome.